Hello. Giving the benefit of the doubt to the dark side because they are in charge of things. I want to say something to you that you know is true. As good hearted people, one of our characteristics of as a human being, listen to this because you're going to find it interesting, is to, when somebody stops and asks for directions, 99 people out of 100 will try and paint them a picture to get them where they need to go or do it their way to stop what they're doing and help them out, you know. And so that's our nature. Like you're walking along, the stranger says, "Hey, can you help me do?" And you just, people want to help. It's a it's a pseudo, "Hey, I can help you because I know, I want to show you that I know," and you help. And it's a good thing. So let's translate that to Google Maps. Because I just received a request, a very, that I had to process in my new head here about what's going on. I think twice about everything now. So I received an update because I went out to a place here in Arkansas that apparently it needed some more information on. It's called Half Moon. I think it's like a dental place. So it was asking me, "Hey, is Half Moon a business?" Like they're provoking me to tell about it. And I went through a process of, "Hey, what do they want to know?" And I intentionally said, "Okay, I'm not helping them. They're Google. They're like trillionaires. What do they need me for?" And then I realized I used to do it. "Hey, have you been to this place?" Like when I was in Florida, if there was a place that was good, you hit it, you do your little input on it, you take the time out of your life to help paint the picture of the earth because either how you feel or because you want to help somebody. And you're the one that's contributing to the idea, whether it's Wikipedia or Google Maps. And I just want to throw on there, you know, because I think it's funny. Let's say that they're going to use Google Maps one day to optimize every piece of information they know to get the every, let's say it's the end of the dinosaur era and the humans who were on the surface and the reptiles, they basically, in terms of losing, ultimately they lost. The big ones, the T-Rex and the raptors. So these days, let's say global wide, they were going to make a push on the surface to get as many as they could. The reptiles want to get as many varmints that may be hiding under rocks, directionally speaking. How do you get to Umpty-Frat? And Fred Flintstone had said, "Hey, hang on, honey, I'm doing an update on our camping ground here," and he's telling them all about how it's organized or whatever. And it ends up assisting the Stalag maneuvers of the FEMA efficiency because we have the maps from the papers. So my point is just the how we and go to Bubblehead, my man James Clapper. Please take a bow, sir. No waterboard needed, because we got you figured out of your role. I'm going to do it for you. You were the legitimate military guy that they needed to look into the face of that camera and say, not wittingly, about collecting information on United States citizens, which I understand as anybody that joined our military doesn't want to collect on U.S. citizens, so you represented that answer. But then we have everybody on top, and you're a member of them. You're in Ringling Brothers. James Clapper is a John Brennan cohort. They jet set it over to the other side. They went to Podesta country, and Clapper is Clapper. So wittingly. And now you, the viewer, my favorite part of the audience is you, the two eyeballs, hopefully, that are staring at this camera, at my two eyeballs, through my glasses, through the lens, and reverse it on your side. What have you done in your life, ask yourself, with getting up early, making it work as good as you can to make to make an event happen that turned out to be a catastrophe that you unwittingly participated in? I could go on and on with examples of how executions happened. It's very sad. The whole foreign internal defense thing turns into you're going to get it. All the bodies that were coming home from Afghanistan under ISAF were, people that were trying to do the right things, but they got terminated by laws of war. You would hope. I just want to tell you that there were some things that happened with service members being hijacked and being blown up just for the blues of it. United States, guys on buses, like in theater, were taken, oh, where are we going? Boom, and they're gone. So that's got less to do with white-hatted behavior on your job during the day. But, you could use the fact that we're the target. You're the target of the process, and your life's work contributes to allowing them to come get you. Because, let's go quantum with radio frequency ID. Not only are you contributing your good guy comments to Google Maps to help them, but your phone has an MEIE birth certificate that's like a fingerprint, and whether or not you've been COVIDed and where you go is all built into this brain phone here, just like yours. Now, if you have a card to back up your needle, you're good to go. Aside from that, it's tagging, tracking, and locating with smartphones. And where you go and where you get caught when the time comes. They're going to cast a net, and if you're a salmon swimming up, they're going to be waiting for you. The grizzly bears will just be waiting for you when you jump out. But you don't have to look. Don't look at anything like that. Everything is entertainment. It's all like a cartoon. That's how you have to go with it, because they're going down. The guys that think they put together the great plan, it's going to backfire in their face as far as the end of it goes. Because, one of the things, and I don't want to describe, I'm doing all these things in violent terms, and I really don't like doing it, but it makes the point. Of course, the jihadis were able to blow us up with their IEDs, and General Votel helped the Nazi side of that recruitment. And I think that the co-pilot of the bird that went down with Ken Stoufs might have been wearing a device and got triggered by the checklist to do something to crash the helicopter in the weather. I think that. And I do. I'm not backing off nothing concerning that incident in Utah. And I'll keep talking about it till people say what happens, because my friend died there, and I don't like my friends to die. Not that guy. Kenneth Stoufs. He's buried next to Walter Darby. Rangers. So, you do things for good intent, wearing your hat, hoping that you're fighting for the idea of America that you joined for or that you went to work for in your industry. It doesn't need to be military. you know, let's face it, you're working for the Rothschilds in the banking industry quite efficiently, and the guys are good at their jobs. Managing money is it's an art, and it gets the credit it deserves. So it's a very interesting system. And do they not manage it down to that penny with the overnight rates, the attention to detail of the system that they pay attention to for making ends meet, for the rates to be doing what they do, and the overnight rates, and all the math that goes into the madness of the stock market. It's all being calculated for the market moves and the incidents to make things do what they do. So, they deserve a lot of credit. So just kind of. Because all it is for us to participate. We're closing everything out as, why do you want to keep doing this? We're going to do other things. There'll be a level of enlightenment and transformation and, hey, what, you mean we're not going to die? That kind of mindset of, everything's going to be good now. We're going to be making these strategic changes in how we roll with everybody going in a good way. And things will be very good then as far as where we are then. So, given the attention to the books being balanced, I want to put it in ways of there's no getting away from the books being balanced by, hey, somebody has got to do something to make it right, assuming that they're doing it the right way. Money disappears. Rumsfeld says, the day before 9/11, by the way, we lost $6 trillion. Whoop, bang, or whatever that number was. It wasn't $6 trillion, but it was tonnage of money. And then 9/11 happened. So if you can't laugh at it, but Normie hears it, and he's not hearing it that way. He's like, oh, those wasteful bastards. Well, at $400 a wrench, I'm not surprised. Okay, yeah, that, but they said it's missing. The $400 wrench is accounted for, number one. And number two, Bush is getting money from the guns. That when the coke comes in, he's making money from that. So as far as the deep state being okay, of course, they're fine. But the Pentagon has money that's going missing. So you want to talk about luxury living, because it's gone somewhere for people to use it. And none of it matters. I just like to discuss our unwitting role in the day-to-day world of contribution that causes disturbances from what you do, because we're a part of a system that's disturbance-oriented, and we're helping it. So we need to forgive ourselves for assisting the madness by participating in it. You have to go there. Look at it from this standpoint. If every war the United States has ever fought could be successfully argued to be just a waste of human life, that the precepts for the going to war would have been good had they been true. And I'm going to use World War II as the best example possible of a legitimate reason to go to war, because Hitler had invaded and it was going, so you had to stop it. And then you find out, so at that level it's like, okay, there is a just war. When a man goes and he's on, you got to stop him, that's just, like World War II. They were burning Jews and we went in there, so to speak. The Zionists didn't burn. The 23andMe Israelites burned, but they made a deal on the other side of Hitler. They went in. Look at it as a big airplane with 6 million souls. They always use that number 6 million in Jewish thing, because it's a prep number. It's just a label for the number. And I think that there were 6 million souls versus Hitler that gave him the authority to be Hitler. In the inner life, you needed a whole bunch of good guys to get together to go burn for our Creator so that Hitler could bring the dark. Hitler was permitted to do the dark because 6 million of us went, okay, we'll do it. I'll be Oswald Greenbacher. I was a jeweler. I did like money, but I loved my family. If I would have lived, I would have gone to Met games, and I wear a yarmulke. But they got me with the tribe of somebody real from Germany, not the Aldebaran darkies that are running it on that side, nor the Kissinger fake outs that get pulled out to come back. And Kissinger is an amazing character. So to put it in the term of witticism, are you aware of what you're doing? Potentially, people are not. And you're supposed to give them the benefit of the doubt when assessing why somebody makes the decisions that they do. Because when the fallen angels fell, those innocent ones that have never ridden on our planet from heaven, they only know love. Unconditional love is all they know because they haven't been burned down here. So the questions from Bartholomew, who was a life-completed journeyman, and I think Bartholomew Bayou is probably named after him, when he went up for his check-in with his points of origin in his realm, the answers the questions he were asked were very innocent questions. Because when you find out that you got your face rubbed in the dirt, Bartholomew probably got banged around a little bit and presented his life in terms of, yeah, these things happened to me. So the innocent angels who really don't know because they've never experienced third density, they're saying, how could? But why would they do that? Like, why would the fallen angels do what they did? If they were up there with us, how could they degenerate? And it comes down to the answer that comes back is they were trying to help. So you have to understand that in order to wrap your arms around our whole story. Because there were angels that were, you've got the angels that are trying to help on the side of the light for our Creator, and the angels that are trying to help themselves on the other side that are anti-Creator. So that's how you get Gabriel out of the book of Enoch. And if you read about Gabriel, I like to tell the story about, Gabriel and like Mrs. Claus on, Christmas Eve when Santa's gone, that kind of thing. That's God of Enoch. And, they got the makeup and all these other things that were articulated by the Anunnaki version of the advance. Hey, we're telling you what we did. The makeup and all the stuff that get applied to a human body that equals false exacerbation of looks, number one. Self illuminate, you're making yourself beautiful. And that's there's nothing wrong with it. That's the truth. It's when it's used for diabolical purposes, like to, literally a guy. We're talking about how things work, not where we're going, because the whole purpose is going to change for the, sexual relations. But traditionally, what I'm saying is that was a weak spot for men, and women that dressed up use makeup as a exacerbation technique. They go wacky to make themselves look, and it's almost like, okay, that must be one of them. So it got a signature to it. And all the weapons and all these things were introduced by fallen angels. And they were a part of the Mars Maldek coalition, predecessorly speaking. But you also had the Elohim on the good side. That's all our famous, the ones that we all know. So, your roles and everything you've played in coming to date are all adding up to your readiness to move forward, to put down, whether you were, as you find out who you were, what you did, who was affected by things, and you had no idea. So forgive yourself, forgive your votes. You think you liked the campaign for some reason of a Bernie. Bernie was in the, John Podesta show on Bernie, the role player. They're all role players to touch your heart in some way to then be dismissed. Bernie Sanders, look at him. If you wanted to try to go with the idea of a Democrat, just the concept, democracy, $1 a person for everybody, that's a Bernie thing. The equality of the distribution of the masses is the Bernie show. That's the Bernie Sanders show. Free college. Look, we're going to figure out how to pay for it with the fake money that I'm going to take. After, I drop out and we do the bill where we're going to get a shit ton of money from the corporations and for us, that's me. Until the next election comes down, I look like I'm going to be a good contender this time because I'm back. I have a few fights on stage. They got the guy to imitate me. And then, whoop, COVID, Biden. It's Biden. Now, you can say what you want. I wonder how many Democrats, if we'll ever know, or we'll ever truly, it doesn't matter. But just for the sake of history, if there was a way to really know what the true vote counts were, you would think they'd have that somewhere just to make it easy. We don't have to bother the Akashic records with all that. But I mean, it's doable. I don't know, I guess the point I was trying to make was, when it comes to dealing with the Democrats specifically, you were dealing with a highly criminal organization, and the fact that there's still plenty of Democrats on the books in the country from Kennedy on forward that are Democrats, in terms of the true numbers of how many Democrats there are, I think statistically there are more Democrats than Republicans. So they're the majority of the popular people, and it just figures out that way, right? That they're going to win. They're all concentrated in the big states, and they're going to do it. But my point is on the candidates, when there's really decisions that are going to be made, and forget about states and electoral stuff. I'm talking specifically the popular vote. You wonder why and how, who decided that Biden was the best choice without some kind of a televised showdown, which they could have done. From a quarantine, let's go set up respective studios. We know the top three. Unfortunately, we got to stop doing it the way we're doing it. Boom. And do it that way. They didn't. They just fleeted to Biden because they knew that's what they wanted to do. So it's all a big show. And anybody who's a member of the Democratic Party should see that. But many of them don't care. I guess there's a certain number of them then that, they know they're in. They don't care because they got what they got from what they've been getting. probably for a legitimate reason. If your hands being greased and everything's working for you, then why would you try and upset the apple cart? But my closing point for this video is wittingness and unwittingness, and when you peel everything back in that case, I wonder how many true traditional Democrats, let's call them JFK Democrats, there's really no point to make because everything's so lost. I was trying to figure out if there's any real traditional Democrats left. Like I knew guys way back in the 80s that they could tell you that there was a tradition of the good old, call it the good old fashioned white Southern Baptist Democrat. It was a prototype. We know it. The Bible Belt was predominantly that, and Falwell kind of messed it up, but they had a history of democracy.